so I got to turn a couple of things on. And there she is. For those of you on the 360 Performance Facebook page, you're now seeing Mandy and myself on Friday, every Friday at 11 o'clock here at KUHSdenver.com. I'm going to give you a little bit more background, and then I'll formally introduce Mandy to you. But I want to make sure that when you look at your world and you're facing the entropy and the changes that are going to be part of what you're doing, remember the environment that you're in. Now, for example, the NFL recently had a game, a Thursday night game. It was the Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the quarterback for the Ravens, big athlete, big, strong guy, and he tends to want to run. They'll call a run-pass option for him, and he'll run the ball. Now, they were in the red zone, and he faked the handoff on the option to run and decided not to pass and run himself. Well, interestingly enough, the ball is a brown ball. His jersey is a black jersey. He tucks the ball into his arm, and the ball disappears. Where did the ball go? So the defensive team has a little bit of a difficult time knowing, does he have the ball or doesn't he have the ball? He looked like he handed it off. Well, that became a controversy because the announcer for the NFL, who follows with the San Francisco 49ers, he's kind of assigned to the 49ers as their radio broadcaster, and he himself is an NFL alum. So he's played with all different colors of players. Well, he made a comment about how difficult it would be to see the ball because of his black jersey, because of his dark skin tone. He didn't even say black. He was very politically correct in his language. Well, guess what? Social media exploded and started criticizing him for his comments. I hope you don't do that when you're fighting and managing your change, that you're looking at your environment in a way that your critical analysis is one that's proactive, positive in that proactive gesture, and you've removed the negatives, like the announcer did. He didn't put negatives in there. He just described the situation and related to his time when he was an NFL defensive player and how difficult it would be to find the ball. We're going to talk about difficulties and challenges and staying in shape in delivering what you need to deliver to be the best you can be. And we're going to do that with my guest today is Mandy Harvey. Mandy, as many of you might know, if you recognize her face, for those of you who are watching us this morning, she was the golden ticket winner on one of the seasons of America's Got Talent. I have been following Mandy for, almost a little over 5 years now, since when she was still in Colorado, performing at steakhouses, coffee shops, and clubs around the area, and fell in love with her interpretations of jazz. And then when I found out that you're almost totally deaf, I mean, you have, I guess some would say on the number side of things, what, 110 decibels?
Yeah, I'm profoundly deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that in itself isn't a good attribute for being a musician.
Well, I think it's interesting. I feel like the norm, people would say that, yes.
Yeah.
But I think that being a musician is being a musician. Whether or not your attack is different is just completely different. I feel like in some ways, not being able to hear in the conventional sense has given me the ability to pay attention to music in a completely different way. So in some ways, I feel bad for you.
And let's make sure that I have my levels up on the right microphone like I did, and I didn't before, so I've got it there. So, Mandy, I hate to do this to you,
All right.
but say to me again what you just said.
Well, I get told a lot,
Mm-hmm.
It must be frustrating being a musician and not being able to hear. And to a certain degree, yes. But in a lot of ways, I find that being a musician has nothing to do with whether or not you can hear or not, has nothing to do with whether you can see or not, or who you are is who you are. Being a musician is part of your soul. And I think that in a lot of ways, I have the benefit of experiencing music in a completely different way from you.
Yeah.
And I slightly feel bad for you for you not being able to experience it in my way.
And you, when you started college in the music program, your hearing
Yeah.
loss wasn't as it is now, the levels that it
No.
is now. So you were surprised that was kind of,
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah, I was born hard of hearing, so I've always had struggle with my ears and surgeries and perforated eardrums, and I've been lip reading my whole life. And then because I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Mhm.
it's a connective tissue disorder, and a lot of surgeries, my body stressed itself out and it kind of attacked itself.
Yeah.
And the result of it was I lost my residual hearing as well as a great deal of vision. Though, if you've seen me in my audition of AGT, you'll see I had really thick glasses. And then, maybe a week after I filmed that, even before it was released, I ended up having to get LASIK because I had an accident. And I nearly blinded myself because of my bad vision. And I was like, oh no.
The bad vision was more bad vision.
Yeah, it was. Well, so it's like my dog jumped up onto my chest and knocked my glasses off, and so I bent down and I hit my eye on the corner of a cabinet.
Oh, ouch.
And it was the scariest thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is stupid. Absolutely dumb. So, talked to a friend of mine and ended up getting LASIK. And so I feel like I'm Superman to Clark Kent. Everybody knows Clark Kent.
Yeah.
But they don't really know me without my glasses anymore, and that's fine with me.
So the LASIK was successful?
Huh?
The LASIK surgery was successful?
Yeah, it was. And with anything like that, it will degrade more with time and with surgeries and stuff, and my body attacks itself. But it's going backwards and restart button.
Yeah, nice.
I might have to do it again, but as it is right now, I can see pretty good.
Well, and you're talking about the body's response to an inflammation, if you will, oversimplifying it. But
Sure.
The body is feeling it needs to repair itself because of what it perceives as an attack to some part of the body. And I talk about that a lot with my players, about injury recovery. One of the things that I do a lot of with athletes is go in and help them with their mindset, getting ready to deal with how they now feel differently. It's you called it a reset button, which is great because the change is dramatically positive.
Yeah.
Whereas with the athletes on injury recovery, they look at it as a negative.
Well, I think in the process of the change, I feel like when you start change to when you end change, you come to acceptance and then at some point, hopefully, gratitude, love, and appreciation for who you are and the journey that you are on. But in the process of going through change, it's terrifying and real. And so anytime you're faced with those challenges, it feels like an attack.
Yeah. Well, and that's I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about those components, those people and things that may look like an attack.
Sure.
We also call them obstacles,
Yeah.
meaning that they're stationary for the moment. And the sooner I can see the obstacle in my mind, the better I can be prepared to address
Get
it.
rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to share some remarks from my audience from people that have known you, gotten to know you. And one of those was from a magazine article in Healing Path magazine
Oh, yeah.
back in 2009.
Ooh.
Yeah, a while ago. But very, very appropriate thoughts as to, and I'm going to start off with the quote from the author, and her comments are, she, meaning you, demonstrates the power available to us when we give up our attachment to outcome and focus only on what we do now. She reminds us that through doing what we love and giving what we have, we enter a realm of hope and possibility. We experience freedom to be all that we are. I thought that was extremely insightful and captured a lot of what I have seen in your performances and in other than today, the very limited times we've had a chance to interact in less, not about the music, but just about people. She captured it really, really well. I'm going to remind everybody again that Mandy Harvey was one of many golden ticket winners through the seasons of America's Got Talent, and she went on. Did you get to the semifinals?
I got to the finals.
Finals, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember how far you'd gotten.
Got fourth. 2017, I got fourth.
That's nice, though.
Yeah.
Did that have a boost to your career a little bit? Did people have a higher appreciation for your music
Yeah,
and your
I think
musicality?
more people are just aware of me. My video, my audition video, Try, went mega viral.
Yeah.
So most people, even if they didn't watch HET, they've seen this picture of me or this video, because collectively it's been seen over 500 million times.
Whoa, that's extraordinary.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I'll take it, but it's weird.
Yeah, what do you do with that?
It's not real. Like,
Yeah.
none of it's real. Like, I look back and I try to say, oh, no, that really happened, and it doesn't feel like it did. It's a dream.
Yeah, my social media person, I have a social media person, that's even scary for me to even say that.
Look at you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a very tactile person. I like to do it myself.
Mm.
And so things like that, I just, like, why can't I do it? But I'm not good at it.
Sure.
That's why I can't do it.
Mm.
So I want to also share with people some more comments that the lady made in this article about your past. Because you started into college to become a music teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm sure performing as well, but a music
No.
teacher in front of school and kids.
Yeah, never performance.
So performance was something that you, plan B.
No, not even plan B.
Really?
I hated performance. Absolutely terrified of it.
Whoa.
I used to throw up anytime that thing closed. Anytime anything had to do with performance, I would lock up and I would cry and I would shake and I would throw up. And
Oh my gosh.
I hated it. I hated having people stare at me. I wanted to be invisible. I loved being a teacher
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to help other people improve, and I wanted to help create community and give people skill sets. But I did not want people looking at me.
Well, and sharing the love of your craft, I would guess that was the
well,
motivation too.
But it's an unstoppable force. It's like what you were saying, when you are, a kind of a person who can't sit still in
Yeah.
it. It's not just a job, it's my life, and I can't not better myself in it. I can't stop. So you just constantly want to do more.
Are you teaching?
I do clinics and stuff like that, but I don't have like my own students who I teach vocal lessons to. I haven't ventured there mostly because I know what my limitations are, and I haven't found a way around them to feel like I would be giving them the exact information that they would need to go past a certain point. So I bet I could do like certain level,
Yeah.
but then I would want them to have somebody who would listen to exactly what's going wrong with their tone and be able to fix and give them the tools to excel past me.
I would love to collaborate with you on working with students, even if it's remote. With technology today,
Oh, yeah.
because there are kids that have all of their senses, all 5 of their senses, that need your insight.
Oh, I teach and I go and I'll sing with choirs and stuff and we'll do like little lessons and stuff. But I don't know if I would ever be like a one-on-one. I'm your weekly go-to choir teacher.
I understand.
Person.
I understand that, and I understand your limitations and your reticence, and that's real. That's a real thing. But I think there's a collaboration of a pod of people
Oh yeah.
that would support your shortcomings and really enhance the vocal and musicality experience for an artist. Well, we can talk about that later.
All right.
This is another remark from the author. While her dream of becoming a music teacher has died, the music is still alive and well within her. Though her hearing loss is profound, and at the time it was 110 decibels in each ear,
Right.
her timing, pitch, and passion are perfect. With support from friends, family, and her faith, Mandy continues to find joy in the music. Those remarks are like an exclamation point to what we just talked about.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I have to be a little commercial now,
Okay.
because I want to make sure your event tomorrow night, which is December 7th, it's at the Dazzle Club at 1512 Curtis Street. It's right down there in the midst of the pedestrian kind of movement in downtown Denver, not too far away from the L.A. Calkins Opera Center in downtown Denver, a few blocks, but close enough. So if you're hanging out at the theater and you're getting a cup of coffee and you want to tap your foot a little bit and listen to some great interpretations of jazz and Mandy's recent album that's out, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And there are some tunes in that set, in that album, that I want you to talk about in a second, because we talked about it before we got on air, about how much of you is in there and how much more you want in there, and what or who causes it to be limited a little bit. Now, as I say that, the last piece of commercial stuff I'm going to do, I have a sponsor. Well, I'm trying to coerce them into being my sponsor. It's a lotion, alcohol-free lotion, but it kills 99 points. Yeah, exactly. Waltz free. There it is. And this, because you're a traveler, this one's for you with the carabiner.
It's pink.
Yes, it's pink. Exactly. And I had no idea I picked that color, actually.
Waltz free, hand sanitizer.
Yes.
Won't dry or crack skin.
It is, and it's truly a lotion. So, Mandy, you had been around music most of your life before the age of 19, because you've got a family that's musical.
Well, yeah, but I was always the spearheader of it. You know, my dad is a very musical person in playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He's unituned, is what we always called when it came to singing, because all of his songs sound exactly the same. But I've been obsessed with choir since I was 4 and couldn't stop. So I was in 4 or 5 choirs at the same time. I went to Longmont High School, and if you are a student there, you have a kid who goes there, if they go to the choir room, on the wall there's a plaque with my name on it for top female vocalist of my high school, 2006.
Represent.
Woo woo! Go Trojans.
Yes.
But yeah, it was something that I needed. It made sense to me.
Well, I would guess, help me with this thought. I'm going to throw it out there for you to share your position on it. You needed it. Why? And I'll expand on that part of the question. Because of more feeling?
Well, so being a hard of hearing child, I didn't really have a lot of friends or people that I talked to much, because lip reading is difficult. It's taxing on the mind, but also you feel awkward, like you're constantly the stupid person in the room who doesn't understand what's going on. And my mom put me in a choir class when I was 4. I think she just kind of dumped me in there. It was at church, but I found it to be so inspiring because it didn't matter. We were like a ragtag group of misfits. You had all different kinds of political views in there, all different kinds of skin tones, all different kinds of financial backgrounds. It really didn't matter.
Yeah.
And we were all working together as a team to make something beautiful. And then the words were in black and white. I had them in my hand. So I knew exactly what we were doing, and I was a part of a community.
Yeah.
And then there's something beautiful that transpires past the performers into the actual audience, and then you become an even larger community, and it kind of spreads from there. And so for me, not only was it a means for me to be able to express myself, it was a means for me to have that community sense, but move past any of my personal barriers and any of other people's barriers and just be.
Did the participants with you at that age understand your limitations and then help you to manage the interactions with those limitations?
It's funny. So I was by far the youngest person in the room, by far the youngest person in the room, but I caught on to it like a fish in water, and I just couldn't stop. So I think at first they were more like, oh, what's this little kid doing in our class? And then I was memorizing it faster than them. And so they're just like, oh, okay. I earned my chops. And I don't think anybody, other than the teacher making sure that they were directionally talking at me, I don't think that it really hindered anybody. I don't feel like anybody treated me any different.
I'm going to guess that at some point you were just like everybody else.
Yeah.
They forgot about, if they even knew of your limitations, they forgot about it because you were delivering.
Yeah, well, yeah, I worked harder than most people. And I think high school, I had an amazing choral director. He's still a choral director now at Cherry Creek. His name's Adam Cave. Love Cavo. Love you, dude. And I think he could probably testify to just my work ethic. I knew that I had a barrier of being able to hear what was going around me.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped having to rely on the section and being able to hear them. And I dismissed that altogether. And I memorized and I worked hard. And I had it first. And then a lot of people would gravitate towards what I was singing because I had it.
Yeah.
And so I was I was a section leader, mostly because I knew that I couldn't rely on them.
So how did you make the connection to the other sections then?
By how it felt and by watching, by actually paying attention. The beautiful thing about choir, you have a choral director, and if they're doing their job well, they're showing you the emotion, and they're showing you how loud, how soft, all of those very, very, very precise changes. It's all done as a team, so everyone has to focus on one person.
Yeah, so for our audience who may not be watching, but also listening, conductors in a choir will lean forward, will lean backwards, will make bigger gestures or smaller gestures to indicate
Dynamic.
to the choir the dynamic inferences to tone, to volume, to articulation
Yes.
of words. Even though in the music, as you said, you had it in black and white in front of you, it will say, I almost said the word, Polissimo.
Pianissimo.
That's it, pianissimo. Thank you.
Yeah, quiet.
Yes, quiet. So
Forte to loud.
exactly, you saw the words on the page, but the choral director will give you that through their body movement because in most cases, the sections don't have the sheet music with them.
Yeah, at some point you memorize the music, and the music and those kinds of embellishments and details, that is to the discretion of the choral director.
Yeah.
So some of those sections where there would be a forte would be not. And so we would memorize the music, and then we would watch this one person, and everybody would be listening in their section. I put it in air quotes because I didn't necessarily, but you would be listening and trying to become as even as possible so that you sounded like one voice.
And I tell my athletes who can hear, they have full hearing capacity, I say you have to listen with your eyes. It's not just with your ears, because there's interpretations of things that are movement, that speak very loudly and or very small, but you've got to see it to be able to hear it.
Yeah.
And so so I'm going to break real quick here and go back and promote again your concert tomorrow. But in light of what we've just said, the interpretations that Mandy gives about jazz or any genre of music that she sings, because I think there's some eclectic components to the genres of music, even though many would say you're an aficionado of jazz and you like jazz, but the interpretations that you make with the music and what you sing, which also, by the way, everybody should know, she writes her own songs, is something to be really relished and appreciated. So if you have the fortunate desires, you're fortunate or you have the desires, or both.
If you have the opportunity and the time.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Go to Dazzle.
Absolutely.
On Curtis and listen to her interpretation.
Yeah, there's 2 shows. There's a 6 p.m. and an 8:30. However, it always sells out. So if there are tickets left, you got to jump on it soon.
Get yourself going, people.
Yeah, chop.
Yes, don't sit back.
My 10th annual holiday concert.
And Dazzle is a great venue. I've been there. I like it a lot. So when you go into a venue, whether you know it or not, what are some of the things you do to get ready?
I think it depends on the venue. Some of it is just stationary, it's methodical. I use visual tuners when I warm up, and I can see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
singing, and then you can feel where things are traveling. And I was born with near perfect pitch, so that helps. But in the process of warming up, there's the whole band is setting up and doing their sound check, and they get solidified for what they want, and then I come out, because all of those different noises on the floor combating themselves, it's overwhelming
Yeah.
to me. So I want them locked in. Then when I get onto the floor, regardless of what the venue is, I have my shoes off and I can feel the beat through the floor, and then I have to mentally adjust based off of the room.
Yeah.
So there's so many differences of, okay, this is hardwood floor, or this is a cement, or this is blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you have
There's
to
a lot of
be
blah blah
able,
blahs out
and
there.
so yeah, you have to adjust, and it's a lot of mental work.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like back in choir, even when I was in choir, when I could hear, when I was still slightly hard of hearing, I couldn't hear myself, even if I could catch some of the group.
Yeah.
So I always paid attention to how it felt. And now I don't even try to think of how I sound. I don't focus too much on the fact that I can't hear myself. If I focus too much on, wow, that's weird, I'm singing and I can't hear myself, and then I start doubting myself, and that's when you have trouble.
Yeah.
You have to throw caution to the wind, trust yourself, and say, be damned, I'm expressing myself. So what do I have control over? I have control over what I say. I have control over the emotion that I put behind it. I have control over how I engage with the audience. And I have control over what I can feel through the floor. That's it.
Well, you've emphasized the major points of the segment I usually talk about here, which is in the skills area, being in touch with, I call them checkpoints with my athletes. What are your checkpoints as you're getting prepared in the locker room about what you see and the visions you have, and who you're going to be across the line from, or who's going to be guarding you, or who's across the net from you. Now, if it's a skier, it's the ice and the snow, but different obstacles.
Yeah.
But you have, it sounds like, if I could go through what you just said, you've got checkpoints. There's a feeling in your throat. There's a feeling in your nasal, in your face, I would imagine, and through your feet, and all different checkpoints that you're examining through the rehearsal process.
Yeah, and there's also the memory of the song and knowing all of those intervals and how they tie from one song to another. It's a lot of prep, a lot of work. But it's
See, now
very worth it.
I'll come back to what we talked about a minute ago about collaborating. Those kind of things that you just said you go through, many artists don't go through those.
They don't feel like they have to.
Exactly, and it's been so natural.
Yeah.
It's been so easy for them.
Mhm.
And as I said earlier, to get better, you have to be challenged.
Yeah.
See, I'll have a hockey player, for example. I'll take a hockey player and put a blindfold on them and have them skate blind to know where they're at on the ice. And if they can speed up to gain speed with the blindfold on,
Yeah.
how much more confident are they going to be with the blindfold off?
Yeah.
So putting them in those challenges, hopefully you are doing a beautiful job at managing what life has given you. I would encourage, like you said to me, I feel sorry for them.
I do. Well, so, like, here's a great example, short story. I go to schools a lot, and I have the privilege of going to Leavenworth, Washington every year,
Mm-hmm.
and I have for many years. And so I went to a choral group, and they were singing. They were gonna sing backup of a song of one of mine on stage for their classmates, but they were singing and doing their practice, and I got to take over their rehearsal. And so it was a smaller group, and we put them all in a circle so that the sound is bouncing off of them and not just out into the audience. So during the rehearsal and then I stood in the middle of them and walked around. And then as people were singing too quietly and I couldn't feel them, I would have them move forward so that we could visually see what was going on. And then the people who were too loud moved backwards. And I said, this is disjointed. We need this to be one group. And so I need more from you. You need to be paying attention to your environment. You should sound like one person.
That is awesome.
And so then they started to stop paying attention too much about what they sounded like, and they were listening to the person next to them and trying to mimic their tone. And as 5 minutes went by, they went from 15 people to being like 3. And it was lovely.
Yeah, that's an awesome exercise.
It was lovely, but it's all it's not rewiring your brain. It's just actively participating and paying attention.
Yeah, it's opening, as some say, peeling back another layer of the onion.
The onion, yeah.
Get deeper and deeper and deeper until you really understand what the core is like and how the journey to get there.
Yeah.
That's really amazing stuff, Mandy.
But I think when people pay attention to it in a different way, it's amazing to them how much they can feel. When I teach a class every now and then about feeling music, and so we'll put the speakers on the floor, and I'll have people lay on the floor, on a wood floor, and then I'll play a song, and it bounces through the floor. And for the first minute and a half, you'll see them struggle to feel beat.
Yeah.
You can see them struggle, and then after a minute, you'll see them like getting it, because they're relying too much on listening to the song, but then they're trying to feel it and they can't. Then, as this song finishes, they'll tell you, oh, I did feel that. When you play the second song, their brain is already adjusted so far. Then they're just like, oh wow, I can really feel it over here. Or I can really feel it if I put my hand on this. It's quite interesting. So even like right now, we're sitting at a desk, and it's like a what is it? A plastic.
It's a laminate desktop.
Yeah. So there's been a buzz this whole time. You can feel it.
Yeah.
And every time you talk, I can feel you talking on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people wouldn't even pay attention to that
Well,
clue, I guess, at all.
Yeah, it's what we talked about earlier about we all have 5 senses. Some have limitations, as you being one of those. But it's being able to switch from one to the next that really enhances your capability of adjusting and adapting to whatever obstacles may come towards you. I mean, to see it is one thing, but to hear it and see it before it gets there gives you an even bigger interpretation of what that obstacle is bringing to you. So the analogy of the hardwood floor and the music in there, that to those who are not limited by their senses, that's an obstacle because it's something they've never done before. And they're being asked to switch from that norm to really focusing in on just the feel part of it.
Yeah, it's information that they've been absorbing this whole time. They just haven't been focused on it.
Yeah, that's really cool stuff. Well, we're here with Mandy Harvey. She's going to be performing tomorrow night, 2 shows at Dazzle's on Curtis. It's the exact address is 1512 Curtis Street, right downtown Denver. The times of the show, 6 and 8:30. I think that's correct. Are the 2 show times. Now, I like the fact that you're also a musician, not just a vocalist.
Yeah.
Now, when did you pick a ukulele or guitar or both?
Well, so I started a long time ago. I started with piano and flute and then guitar. And then my dad played guitar, so I played a lot more guitar because that was our way of connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then as my EDS got worse, I lost the ability to really play guitar for longer than 10 minutes without losing full function in my hand. And I was really upset about it. And my friend Meg Reedy, she actually lives here in Colorado too.
Yeah.
She gave me one of her ukuleles to play with. And she was like, just see if you like it, because I find it to be a lot easier on the hands. And I loved it.
Because the fret usually isn't as big.
Well, there's only 4.
And it's
four strings.
Fewer strings, and usually vinyl too, right?
Yeah. Mine is mostly vinyl. The top string, because I use a super tenor, is metal, but it's down the octave, so it has more of a boom that I can feel when I hold it against my skin.
Yeah.
But some chords, like a C, you're only using 1 finger to play.
Yeah.
And then A minor is 1 finger, F is 2 fingers. So, like so many different chords, root rooted chords.
Yeah, it's not 3 fingers or 4 fingers.
Yeah,
or
you
bridging.
don't have to do full bar chords.
Yeah.
There are manners and ways to play them with a
So will we
regular-
see you playing the ukulele?
Of course.
Tomorrow?
Of course.
Excellent.
Of course, yeah. You could try to stop me.
Yeah. Now, so you're going to be, will you be barefoot?
Sure.
Okay. So this is what
I'll
you,
be in stockings.
well,
It's cold up
her
here.
shoes will be off.
Yeah. I don't even bring nice shoes.
Well,
I will wear like a nice dress. I don't even have shoes that go with it. I have my sneakers because I never wear shoes when I'm on stage.
Well, that's kind of fashionably acceptable anyway, the sneakers thing, right?
But I never wear shoes. So what's
yeah,
the point?
Yeah, exactly. Just have them off stage somewhere when you
Yeah.
have to leave and it's slushy and mucky outside. Yeah. So how many people in the band?
For this concert, there's just the 4 of us. So there's pianist Alfred Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
There's bass.
Is he your standby? Is he your anchor?
He's my dude.
Yeah, he's the anchor.
Yeah, he's traveled the world with me. I love that boy. He's an incredible musician, but he also is a composer. He does screen scores and stuff for
But
film.
he gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't that the beginning of the relationship was that because I bet you there's a lot of naysayers out there in the early days.
Yeah, but he's a bit of an odd duck, Alfred. You know, I think in his own way we bonded in our weirdness. So, but I love him. And then my drummer Dave will be here, and he's traveled a lot with me as well. And then I have a local Eric Applegate on bass, upright bass. And then
Very
myself,
nice.
ukulele.
Very nice. So let's talk a little bit about the music and give the title of the album.
Yeah, my new album is called Nice to Meet You.
It is. It is
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And are there particular singles on there other than is there a title track? Nice to meet you.
Well, Nice to Meet You is actually the first line of one of my singles called This Time.
Okay, so this
And-
time is a key one.
Yeah, and that one was actually inspired by a homeless woman that I met here in Denver off of the 16th Street Mall. I was handing out socks and she ran up to me, which definitely makes you feel calm, safe, and welcome.
Yeah.
And she grabbed my arm and she said, "Nice to meet you. Are we flying or is it all in my head?" And she freaking terrified me. And
there begins a friendship.
absolutely. Well, she told me her story. She was a Russian ballerina. She moved to America with nothing to become a star. And she got in an accident. She shattered her ankle. She couldn't dance anymore. And then she gave up on everything. And
Oh yeah.
that's where I met her.
Yeah.
Many years after she had given up. And she told me that, and she let go of my arm and walked away. And she just wanted somebody to listen.
Have you seen her since?
No.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but you know, like, I was in middle school.
Yeah.
So 10 years from that moment, when my hearing left and I was dropped from the music program and my world collided, I gave up for a long time.
You can relate to her plight and her
Absolutely.
story.
Well, every time I closed my eyes, I could see her face. And I was
Yeah.
just like, this is not going to be the definition of my life. This is a moment and a description of a piece of time of my life, but that's not who I am.
Well, you're going to express that song pretty strongly, aren't you? There's some basis for that.
Mm-hmm.
So what else in the album do you want to highlight to make sure people pick up on?
Oh gosh. Well, so the whole album, to me, it's a very specific journey. I wrote "Heart on Fire," which is the first song, at the Denver airport when I got snowed in, stuck here. But there's a song on there that I love called "1 Minute," and that one I wrote 15 minutes sitting on my living room floor to the pattern of the rain outside, and I just there's a lot of heart in there.
So it's a holiday concert,
Yeah.
but you've got the album coming out. So you're going to
Yeah.
feature some of the albums and the cuts in the album.
Yeah.
What else are you going to feature?
So, because it's I do this every year. I think that when people go, "Oh, it's a holiday concert, it's going to be all Christmas music," I don't get into Christmas music as much. Like, I have the superpower, and I mean this, I cannot get annoyed by Christmas music anymore. Because I cannot hear it. So I can go into a supermarket and not hear Mariah Carey or
Yeah.
not hear that song again.
Or any elevator for that matter.
It's gone. So I don't get annoyed by it. But I also don't see a need to have an entire concert be just Christmas music. So there will be some Christmas music
Yeah.
or holiday winter music. There will be some jazz music because it's my 10th annual concert. There'll be some jazz songs that I haven't performed since I was first performing, and some of the ones that are very significant to my journey. Jazz standards mixed in with some of the new songs from the album.
So for those Christmas aficionados out there,
There will be Christmas songs.
which song are you going to that you like the most? That's got the rhythm and the feel that really fits Mandy Harvey.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, it will be a warm day in hell if you believe in Dante. If I don't conclude my show with "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas,"
yeah.
But to true Mandy fashion, there will be "White Green Christmas." So, "White Christmas," the song. But I grew up half in Florida, half here, so we didn't have snow, and so I wrote a different version of "White Christmas" for Green Christmas.
Very cool.
And so people know it, and so they'll come and they get so excited about Green Christmas when Green Christmas plays. So Green Christmas will be playing.
Oh, that's very nice.
And Santa Baby, I'm sure.
That's one of my favorites. I like Santa
Yeah.
Baby because it's got that jazz feel to it. It's got the rhythms. So who and what were your more primary influences in music? Is there a particular artist or, I mean, genre? Obviously, jazz is a genre, but you're such an eclectic combination of rhythms and vibe.
Oh, like who's my inspiration?
Yeah, your inspiration,
I
motivation.
missed the beginning.
Sorry.
Well, I grew up listening to the 60s and 70s music and jazz.
Thank you, Dad.
Actually, me.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was 70s, but I discovered doo-wop in the 60s by myself. I had a little FM radio that I had in my little window, and that was one of the stations that I picked up.
Oh, nice.
And so my dad and I, we've collaborated and we've grown, and he's shown me a different side. We have different tastes of 70s like. But he's definitely given me a lot of ammo and a lot of things to learn. But I grew up listening to Hermits and the Association and Three Dog Night and America and Harry Nilsson. Love Harry Nilsson. And those brilliant artists who actually had something to say, and they said it in a poetic way. It wasn't just, "Hey babe, I want to have sex with you, let's go."
Yeah, they were storytellers.
And it was profoundly interesting.
Well, and like most artists, like yourself, your stories, your music, the lyrics you write come from what you feel. They're legit stories, not just the story that will sell across the airwaves.
Yeah, but the brilliant thing about that time, especially jazz and the 60s, is that they wrote things in a manner that they allowed the listener to put their own story into it.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good point.
It was a story, but it was said in a way that you could put your own emotion there. It wasn't so vague, but you felt the feels while also having it be your own.
Okay, so with that being said, what is your favorite America's tune?
Oh gosh, I still love Horse with No Name. I mean, I just find there's certain lyrics in that one that just make no sense.
Oh,
The heat was hot. I was like, well, yeah.
And the water was dry.
Yeah, but the air was full of sounds.
Exactly. A bee with a buzz.
Yeah.
And
A fly with no buzz.
name.
A fly with
No
no
buzz,
buzz.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But it was. I want to know what that was about. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It feels good to be out of the rain.
I think there was drugs involved.
Of course, it's the 60s.
Yeah, so
In the desert, you can't remember your name, so there ain't no one to give you no
yeah.
pain. La la la.
Yeah.
The la la la's, that was the most impactful to me. But yeah, I love that.
All right, so now let's go from there, from America to Three Dog Night.
Eli's Coming and
There you
Liar.
go. There you go.
Liar. Love it. So my dad and I would sing Eli's Coming and Liar and we had dance moves in the car when we would jam out to that. But I have like, oh, I've never been to Spain, you know, Joy to the World. I mean, you name it, I'm in.
So did the rock and roll jazz hooks of ZZ Top or the Allman Brothers get in there at all?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course, but in sparseness. Because you have to understand, I lost my hearing at 19,
Yeah.
18, 19. So I only had so much data
Yeah. Yeah.
time to collect. And so I missed I would say, the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, most of the 2000s.
So with that being said, what have been the most creative methods you've used to push your musicality, to discover new influences?
Yeah, I have to pull them up with sheet music first. And this is how I've always approached the jazz that I've not ever heard before.
Mm-hmm.
And I sing a lot of jazz songs that I've never heard an example of, but I pull up the sheet music, and then without looking at the key signature, without looking at, you know, samba or, you know, any of that stuff, I ignore it.
So let's make sure you tell people you read music, because that's important to what we're talking about.
Music theory saves lives. Absolutely.
There are some students out there going, is she serious?
No, it does. It's music theory. If you are any sort of person who claims to be a musician, it is a bread and butter. Music theory saves lives. It's an amazing tool that if you're only relying on your ears, you are seriously neglecting an entire world of knowledge that you could be using to your disposal.
And as a performance coach, Mandy, I'm going to emphasize that, because what you just said is a discipline. And there's many students in a lot of different topics, not just music, that do not appreciate the energy and effort necessary to create the discipline for their craft.
Right.
And they'll be the first ones to be disappointed that they didn't get to the level they wanted to. And I'll go right back to discipline. I said, you didn't practice what you needed to be disciplined enough.
Yeah. I think it was it Magic Johnson who he was talking about how he wasn't the best basketball player, but he was the one who would show up and do like 500 free throws.
Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Dwayne Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
he talks about it's not how good you are, it's how good you work.
Yeah.
It's showing up and putting in the time. I mean, I had the opportunity to be around Michael Jordan and his trainer when I lived in Chicago, and I was there passing the basketball, and I was getting tired passing the ball to Michael when he was shooting thousands of jump shots. And he didn't care who it was that passed him the ball. As long as you passed him to the right place, he didn't care. But those people that are consistent with the delivery of their craft are the first ones to say, discipline. In your case, music theory. Study the music theory.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to say again, thank you very much to Mandy. Well, I'll say it over and over again for her being here today with me on 360 Performance on KUHSdenver.com every Friday, 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. We've got a few more minutes before the show ends, and I'm going to ask Mandy to tell us a little bit more about her schedule.
Sure.
We've got Saturday, which is 6 and 8:30 at Dazzle on 1512 Curtis Street, right here. Get your tickets because it sells out. Those two shows sell out. What's after that? Where do you go from there?
So I've got a gig in Philly, so I get to go from cold place to cold place.
Yeah.
And then I have Christmas, the actual week of Christmas off, which is phenomenal.
Sweet.
And then January it starts back up again. My January, February, March, April, May, it's all pretty slam booked. There's a chance I might come back and speak at CSU in February.
Please let me know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to hang out with you. Say
Yeah,
hello.
Yeah. That would be, I think, the 26th if it ends up working out.
Are you going to be in NYC, New York, on the East Coast in the next few months?
Yeah.
Because I would like to, we can talk about this off air, but I'd like to see if I can arrange a meeting between you and the monster lady, Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know of her, yes.
Okay.
But when I was on AGT, she did a tweet that when she saw my golden buzzer moment, she said, she put the little heart, I heart Mandy Harvey.
You guys need to get connected.
I think
musically,
that would be brilliant.
because she has an insight into music that is close to you will never be you because she doesn't have the
Well,
same
but I will never
limitations.
be her.
Exactly. And that's why the connection needs to be made, because the two of you could share so many great collaborative
I
moments
think so.
in music.
But we also have the same. We do have a lot of similar loves. Like she has such a love for jazz as well.
Mhm. Yeah, so I will help you do whatever I can to make that meeting happen. That would
I
be,
game on. Bring
Okay,
it on.
all right.
Pinky promise on
yes,
that.
there we go.
Mm.
Absolutely. So, what are your expectations for your future?
You know, for a really long time, I didn't allow myself to have expectations for my future because it felt very limiting. You know, when you create a plan and you feel like you have to follow that plan, and then it doesn't go the way that you think, you feel you're like a colossal failure.
Yeah.
And so I stopped kind of giving myself too stringent of a plan. However, I will say what are important and the things that I'm working on. So I have a new album. They're going to start pushing it for radio in January, once Christmas is over. So that's interesting. I made 2 music videos, one for Release Me and one for This Time. And I am on the board of a nonprofit organization called No Barriers. They are based up in Fort Collins.
Yep.
And so I'm going to be working more with them. I do tech consulting for Microsoft and places like that where I go in and I give my opinion and I help with feedback and stuff on stuff like Skype and the captioning for Skype. But I plan on touring a lot, writing a lot of music, doing a lot of school visits where I get to be around people and children
Mhm.
and be an encouragement. I'm
With-
not stopping.
With all of that, Mandy,
Yeah.
what's the most challenging for you? That's going to make you better challenge. Not like an obstacle challenge, but a challenge that's going to help you be better.
I think for me, I think it's finding balance. I think that I work so hard and I'm constantly on the road and I'm constantly going that I find it difficult to stop, isolate myself, and just write.
I ask questions because I know where I want you to go.
Yeah,
So how do you decompress?
I don't. I haven't for a very long time. And I think finding balance is a tricky thing when you're an artist as well as a person who is unsatisfied.
Mhm.
Like you were saying, it's not that I'm not happy with my life or my job, but there's always more to learn, there's always more to grow, there's always more. And so I find that when I'm gone for 3 months, say, and I go home, by day 3, I am antsy and weird. Like I don't know what to do with myself. I have such a difficult time allowing my brain to turn off and be. So finding balance is, it's an enigma to me.
So let me go through the list of things that other people use to decompress.
Sure.
Do you work out?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your favorite workout routines?
CrossFit.
Okay. Do you meditate?
I need to be better at it. I've just started getting into it.
Okay. So I'm gonna
I
give.
pray.
There you go.
And
Sorry,
journal.
that was my next piece. Journal of faith, and that the spirituality. There's 3 components for me: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual.
Sure.
Those have to be connected. So I test connections. So when you meditate, what's been the biggest challenge for you to meditate?
Shutting my brain off. Because I feel like then it's just a head full of checklists of things that I need to do. And then just how I could be doing these things. So it's just slowing down, truly.
So let me add something to the meditation thing. First of all, don't worry about how much time you meditate. Whatever amount it is what it is, because that's the fit. You're finding the fit for you. Whatever in that time that you choose to meditate, make sure you're practicing good breathing techniques within the meditation. In through the nose, out through the mouth, no raising of the shoulders, that kind of stuff. And put something in your hand. Because of your sound limitations, you use the other 4 more ostensibly than others do.
Yes.
So something tactile. Get a tennis ball in your hand, a piece of satin, the softest thing that you love to touch, a blankie or something that's sensory through your hands, or put your feet in something. So you've got that sensory focal point. Because with people with on the hearing side that do hear, they can bring in it and then shut it off, and that becomes their focal point. yours is already shut off.
Yeah.
So you need a compensating focal point.
Yeah.
And that will help the compression process.
Start.
Exactly. And you'll have some place to go to get it reconnected again.
Got it.
For other people, it's like I have rocks, very soft rocks that I keep in my my pocket. And when I need to go to those, I'll go to those.
I have a jade meditation stone.
There you go.
That someone gave me a long time ago.
That would be if it works. It could be something cool or soft. Texture and temperature are big components of that focalizing of the item. So then nutritionally,
Yeah.
are you practicing any kind of nutritional things to keep all the things going? Because you've got the inflammatory responses.
I'm a dairy-free, gluten-free, high vegetable, low sugar person.
3 colors of vegetables.
Yeah. Oh.
That's my deal.
Love green things though.
Radishes. I've discovered radishes again.
You've discovered them?
Well, I used to eat them all the time. I was a farm kid. So I would pull them out of the ground and eat them right then and there. And then as I got older, I just kind of like got away from it. And then when I figured out that I had a leaky gut syndrome I had to take care of, I went back and I found all these great, wonderful vegetables that I hadn't been participating in. So cauliflower, radishes, and celery are 3 of my biggies these days. All right, so we got a few seconds left. We're going to end the show. Thank you again, Mandy Harvey, for being here with us. Dazzle. Be at Dazzle tomorrow. Get your tickets because it sells out.
Every year, sells out.
Curtis Street. It's a combination of just wonderful vibe, wonderful rhythms. And I want you to go there listening for the interpretation of the music.
Yeah.
Mandy's interpretation of her words that she writes for her songs will add to the experience that you're going to have in her concert, in the music that she shares with the world as we know it. As we do here at 360 Performance every Friday, we talk about performance issues, human performance, and the people that create those results in the delivery of their performance. And Mandy Harvey has graced us today with her presence. I thank you again for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're right on time. So have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the day and enjoy the Lee Dorsey and Everything I Got as the next song. There you go.